Okay guys, something super exciting here. So I've been collecting these posters for a long time. A good friend of mine in Butte, Montana, Derek Dickinson, his dad had collected these from years ago. These are probably 30s. I would imagine 20s and 30s. I've got them all rolled up right here, but these are all kind of the breakdown of how the engines work, the rear differentials. I got one glued down over here right now. This one here is a rear differential. Look at that, isn't that cool? This is how big the posters are. It's a breakdown of all of them. Shows you how the rear end works. I think a lot of these were in schools for educational purposes if you went to mechanics class or whatever you were doing. This one here, you know, it's like in like probably the 40s because it was hydraulic brakes. Like Ford didn't come out with hydraulic brakes till I think 37. So this was just showing the way that the hydraulic brakes work, all the parts that you need for it. And then this one here is like an old Y-block Ford, just showing you how the fuel system works from the carburetor all the way down into the intake to the piston. Everything in this garage will be pre-war. It'll fit this era. It tells pretty much common sense of how a motor works. I did this one here actually too, of the Stromberg with this old guy on there. Shoot, I'm probably older than that guy is, and he's an old guy. It just gives you all the information. They're so cool. I mean, I don't see these anymore. These are the only ones I've ever seen. I mean, other than like in shop class when I was a kid, maybe there was some of this stuff, but not much. But this definitely fits the area of the shop. It's the breakdown of the Stromberg carburetor. It's really cool. So basically, these were the things that they had at like when you went into a dealership or you went into a school. Like a lot of these I would picture would be in a school, you know, for teaching people how a coolant system runs in your car, you know. It's really cool. So this was a neat, I like this poster right here. It's just really cool looking, this green one. Toledo steel. Yeah, it looks great. It was so ripped. So I just went down, I bought some of this like particle board. I bought just some regular wood glue and a roller, and I'm rolling them down. And then when I get done, I'll frame them out on the walls and put a frame around them and put them up because it's the cheapest way to do it. I figured these things have been laying out in the environment for, you know, the last 80 years. So if I put them on my wall without plexiglass over them for the next 80 years, this is not gonna, I won't be here anyway, so who cares? Anyway, I'm gonna finish this up, hopefully get them on the wall. Maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow. Okay, so up and coming will be more, I don't even have enough room in here for all the Ford stuff I got. I've been collecting for years to have this property. I've been trying to buy this property for 5 to 7 years. And so I knew that I was gonna go somewhere one day and be able to put up some sort of a walking museum. So all the square block that I have here in Goodsprings, you'll be able to walk it and come in and see all the old cars and how they lived back in the 30s and 40s. But I've been collecting, you know, flathead V8s and 4-cylinders and transmissions and wheels, tires, rear ends. I mean, you name it. I've got enough to build a couple of Model A's. And we're gonna have lots of Model A's and, you know, maybe some Chevy cars here. Chevys are really hard to find just because they were wood and they fell apart and they're just not as valuable as a Ford. But I would like to have a couple of them out here from the 20s, and also the Dodge Brothers too. And I've got a Dodge garage up there. I got my genuine Dodge Brothers porcelain sign that will go up over there by the garage, which I'm gonna set up pretty soon. But yeah, lots of damn work, but it's gonna be cool when it's all done. So, but hopefully by then we can start doing some tours out here. People can walk around and just feel the history of what's going on here. This is part of the Spanish Trail. This was a booming town in the 20s. It was I mean, 1,000 people lived in this town that now holds only maybe, I don't even think there's 200, maybe 150 people here in this little town. We're 25 minutes from Vegas. It's really close. So it's easy to get to. We have the historical Pioneer Saloon, which is a bar right down the street was built in 1913 that's still active. It's a quiet little place, but it's a cool little place. I'm hoping that here in the next year, I'll have this thing set up so you guys can come out and see it. If you're doing my welding course, you want to learn how to do some welding, I want to try to get enough of these old buildings set up so you can stay here, stay the weekend. So it don't cost you nothing to go nowhere. You can stay here on the property and we'll barbecue, we'll eat, we'll have a good time. It's gonna be fun. And we'll be able to walk around and look at all the old stuff. If you guys want to come out here and work on a Model A, we'll be able to come out here and work on a Model A and go drive one around the block. You know, that's what I want to do. So it's gonna be fun. Okay guys, here we are in the Ford shop is what I'm gonna call it. So in Goodsprings back in the 20s, they had a garage that was called the Goodsprings garage. In the early 20s to probably the early 30s, or even past the 30s, you could order a brand new Model T. Say 1920, you could pick a car up. Well, they would ship it probably from Dearborn, Michigan, down the railroad, all the way to Jean right here. They would offload it, put it on a steam engine and pull it up here, and you could buy your car or order one here at the garage. I've actually got some old newspapers in the Cottonwood cabin, which we'll go show you, of how you could buy the car. It was like $375 for a car. Well, anyway, so what I'm trying to do is kind of reenact that garage here on my side. That garage was actually across the street, but I don't own that piece of ground, so I'm gonna try to recreate it on my piece of ground. So this is kind of like the Ford Goodsprings garage. And I would imagine in that garage they had lots of, you know, Ford parts and pieces, and so everything in here. And I've been collecting tons of Ford pre-war parts forever. I love the traditional hot rod and I love the equipment. And as you can see in here, I've brought in some old pre-electricity lathes and mills. I've got an old bench grinder over here and some old iron worker tools and a bunch of drill bits and all kinds of old stuff in here that will replicate what it was like to be in that machine shop or in that shop before. This town did not get power till in the 30s. So that Ford shop had no power, but they would have probably ran it on a generator of some sort. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm looking to get a cam for the roof so I can belt drive everything in here. I want to, everything you see in here is a belt driven piece of equipment, meaning that it will drive from the ceiling. The belt would come down. I don't know if you can swerve over here real quick, but we'll use this one for an example. This old machine, pre-electricity. So they added this back piece on here, which would have been probably in the 30s or 40s. And it's got a clutch pedal right here. You push in and it releases the belt right here, the tension. So you could switch over to whatever you want. But the belt would come from the ceiling and it would drive this pulley right here. Or it was probably here was the pulley and it would run through the system and run this, or none of this was here and it would run it off of here. So it was all belt driven. That's what I love about every one of these. This old drill press right here is the same way. They did put power on it probably sometime in the 30s, but pre that it had a transmission in it, just like an old truck. I mean, you could come in here and you could shift the gears in it from gear to gear, keep it oiled. It had a automatic feeder on it, so you could, you know, click that up and then the drill will just do its automatic drilling. It was like an iron worker at its peak back in the 1920s probably. But a really cool piece of machinery right here. I've been collecting this stuff for a long time, and I do have lots of tooling, drill press, drills, and all the tooling for the lathes. And at one point, I'm gonna have it all running in here. Right now, I'm just trying to get it staged, figure out where I'm gonna do it. This garage has gone from, you know, it was built in '94. It's the newest building on the property. Everything else is 1890s to 1910 that's on this property. So I'm trying to replicate this garage to make it look like it was something from the, you know, 1920s. And I went through, did the best I could. I had a bunch of tin that I got off my cousin's ranch in Montana that was a grain silo that I put on the walls. I used some of the old railroad ties here as the corner pieces to kind of make it look like it's a structure in here. I blacked out the roof and insulated it. So that was a pain in the butt. But I blacked it all out in here. So when you walk in here, you're not really looking at the ceiling. I want the equipment to each one of these pieces will have its own light. The lights that I have in it now are too modern. Those will come out. I've got some old porcelain lights that'll go in here. But but I want to light up every piece of equipment to give it its own, you know, so you can see them. And then I barnwooded the backside right here. I'm gonna put an old wood bench in here. I've got these old posters. I mean, some of these, like this one here, you know, this is probably from the 40s, let's say 30s or 40s. It basically tells you all the way from the crankshaft of the motor, through the clutch, through the transmission, through the driveline, into the rear end, how it all works. It gives you like a breakdown of the universal joint, and then it shows you how the clutch worked. And what I thought was really funny is back in those days, they have a woman's shoe right here. I want to think that they wanted you to think that anybody could drive this car, even if you're a little tiny old lady. And that's why I think they put that shoe in there, to tell you that the clutch wasn't really hard to push in. It was easy and you could use it. So I'm sure that's what they were doing back then. A good friend of mine, Derek Dickinson from Montana. He's up there in Butte. Good friend of mine. We trade a lot of porcelain signs. We do a lot of wheelings and dealings. He had come across all these posters that I got, I think 7 or 8 of them in here. And they were all rolled up in a ball. They'd probably been like that for 50 years. And I got them from him, and I thought, well, you know, one of these days I'll use them. And this is the perfect shop because this is going to replicate cars from the, you know, the 30s and 40s. So right around the time that they would have put hydraulic brakes on a car, or they were figuring things out, these posters basically tell you about how the cooling system worked, how your brake system worked, how carburetors worked, how an engine works on combustion and exhaust. And, you know, same with like this right here. It's just showing you all the little parts. So I want to put them in here. It's probably something in maybe a automotive place back in the 40s. But I do want to put them up. It's going to look good in here. I'll bring all my V8 flathead Ford stuff. I have tons of carburetors. I have tons of flathead stuff. I'm going to bring it all in here and decorate this whole place with all Ford, probably pre-53 as far as performance. I'd like to keep my cars probably 34, somewhere in there. I mean, 36, 37 is pretty nice. Might do that, but right now all my cars that I want in here are 32, 34 Fords. But yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm very excited about getting it done. It's been a shit ton of work, and I am ready to start decorating. So right now I'm missing the process of the construction. So the next time I do a video, hopefully you guys will be able to see it kind of done. SEMA's up around the corner real soon, so I'm probably gonna be busy with that, so I don't know if I'm gonna have time to finish it. But this is just one of the buildings that has taken me a long time to go through because it will be all Ford. So when you guys come here for the tours and the ghost tours, it'll be fun because we'll be able to walk through and see all this stuff. This is really neat shit. And the cool thing about all this equipment from here over to here, these were all found within 20 miles of Goodsprings. There was a machine shop in Sandy Valley that I got these out of. So all of these machines worked the same ore that came out of these mountains. So it was really cool to actually bring it back to life in its same area. So pretty excited about that. So hopefully soon I will be coming to an end on this shop, but I do want to keep it period correct for the era. Like I said, cars not over 34 54 to 5, but performance parts not over 53. So everything in here will be old school, and that's what I want to do. I plan on putting on some vintage pre-war races out here. If anybody's interested, let me know on this video, because I cannot wait to have you guys bring out your pre-war cars. There's a dry lake bed within about 10 miles of here, and we could race out there, or there's a spot here in town we could put something together. I'm still in the baby steps of it right now, but I want to turn this little area here into that mecca of the world. So everybody from Europe, Australia, Canada, America can bring your car here, and we have a race and have a great. So I'm looking forward to that. But the next time you guys see this video, hopefully I'll be a little closer on this garage of the decorating. The structure is about done. All the hard work is pretty much done now. It's just decorating and making it look right. So we'll see you guys on the next one, and hopefully by that time this thing will be done.